Yeah, so we are on, just trying to jump in here on the feed. I've been going live every night, making it a habit to come on here and provide some positive energy out there to you all. I've been kind of focusing in the law of attraction in and kind of diving in on how that applies to emotions and anger and just manifesting your dreams and desires.
Okay, it goes. If you need a quick fix in your relationship, call Maya's Life Coach. 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 Call him up. How you like that?
Ooh, I love it.
And I came across this quote that really highlights a great point about what it really means to be angry and what it really means to kind of lose control of your emotions in the heat of the moment. So let me kind of read it from you. And it's from Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, so to speak. So when you feel anger or fear or frustration or blame or guilt of any of those emotions that you would describe as negative emotions, what that means is every single time is that you are giving your attention to something and therefore including its lower vibration into your mix, causing yourself to now be vibrationally different from your own sense of being, from your own source, from your own identity. And so that negative emotion that you are feeling is a sort of withdrawal. So I think that's a great way of describing it. Like, has if anyone has ever experienced withdrawal, specifically withdrawals from a substance, it is no joke. You know, I've done a lot of work with heroin addicts, and in that work, I learned a lot about withdrawal from opiates, right? So what that process is like is, your legs become real restless and achy, and you feel like you can't move, you can't sleep digestive wise, you can't keep anything down, you can't keep anything in, you're on the toilet constantly, you're blocked up, like your whole digestive system is messed up, you know then comes shakes and fatigue and headaches and cravings, cravings that are like nothing else before, because all you want to do is get rid of that feeling. Like the flu, I hear that a lot. You get like a flu-like feeling, like it's a perpetual flu and sickness and hot and cold flashes and chills. And all of that is occurring to your physical body because you've taken something out of the picture that once was there before, that your body had programmed itself to accommodate. And what it had programmed itself to accommodate, which was that substance, is now no longer in the body. So the body had learned to align its identity with that substance. So your body goes withdrawal when you take a part of what it now understands its identity to be away, right? So emotionally, anger and all those negative emotions of guilt and shame and despair and depression and hopelessness, all those negative emotions, you know, when you feel that dissonance is a sign of withdrawal from you being from your true form, your true nature, the true existence of who you are. So just think about that. Like, if you're, in a relationship and it doesn't feel good anymore, and it feels strained. It feels overwhelming. It feels like stress. It just feels not like you. It's because it's not aligning with who you are. It's not aligning with your true essence. It's not aligning with your core self, your core identity. So, in a sense, those negative emotions are signs and warning signals to tell you that something is missing, and that thing that is missing is not aligning to your core vibrational set point. So, just like heroin, if you take heroin, your body builds out that dependence to the heroin. You set your set point to accommodating that heroin in your body. And because that heroin is no longer there, your body's like, oh my gosh, how are we going to establish balance? Well, the only way that we can establish balance is to make you crave and to make your body feel like hell so that you can do something that'll bring it back here. So a lot of times when, people are overcoming addictions, some such as heroin or any other substance, it takes a lot of time to work through that withdrawal process and to rebalance your body's natural way of functioning. So, a lot of times people will have to detox, right? So, what is a detox, right? So, a detox is like, okay, there's a lot of ways you could detox nowadays, but you could go cold turkey, for example, right? So, when you're going cold turkey, that means like you maybe you check yourself into a program, or maybe you completely get outside of your environment that you were in. Maybe like say, you know what, I'm gonna go to Florida and stay with my cousin and get out of those same circles where all that heroin is, where all the my drug friends are, right? So that you change your environment so you can say, you know what, I don't have access to it. So that when all that withdrawal and all those cravings kick in, I will not go to that, right? So that's like the first part of detox. Then a lot of times times they have medicated assisted detox, right? So in doing that, then they'll give you something that kind of matches that same receptors in your brain, that of which the opiates have binded themselves to, right? So this way now that same gap in your brain is filled in with a substance that's similar, synthetic or whatever it may be, a real opioid to some extent, or a lesser version of one, so that your body can gradually reacclimate itself to not having that substance in its body. So, okay, so that's detox, right? So, how do we detox ourselves from negative emotions? That's a process too, because if you're someone that's always getting angry and you sit around and you watch the news all day and you see everything that's wrong with the world, or you have a bunch of gossipy friends that you're always calling up, always hanging up around, and you're always griping over what this person did or what that didn't do, the first step would be, okay, I don't want to be angry all day and night. So you have to take yourself out of those environments, take yourself away from that so that you can reset your vibrational set point, so that you can go through that withdrawal process and move forward. So, okay, so now after you've kind of gone through that initial phase of withdrawal, right? So your body, you're back to kind of a normal. Like, maybe instead of feeling like flu like symptoms all day, now you just feel maybe a hot or cold flash throughout the day, right? So your body is reacclimating to that set point, that identity, that vibrational point that aligns you with your true self, with your source self, with your God self, with your true essence, right? So now you're at that place. But what happens now is now you're like, well, what type of life do I live? How do I form relationships? How do I rebuild all the things that I may have messed up due to my anger, due to my heroin use, due to whatever the addictive behavior is? Because negative emotions can be very addictive too, right? So what do you do now? So now you gotta like fill in that big gap with positive things, and that's the hardest part. That's usually where people get stuck up and then they relapse and go back to the old friends that gripe and groan and gossip, or go back to abusing the substance, right? So, you really have to vibrationally fill that hole with something positive. And I will share that in my journey, I had an addiction to lack mentality. That was something that I was taught at a very early age, that, nothing's ever going to come easy to you, and that you're going to have to struggle. And everything you do is going to be like suffering, so that this way you can have half of your abundance, so that you can just barely get by and barely have enough to eat and to pay your bills. And, that's that poverty mindset, right? So, when I started to say, you know what, enough of this, this doesn't serve me anymore. I don't want to live in poverty the rest of my life. I really had to detox and fill in positive into that hole of, well, you're just going to live in barely enough and lack. So, you have to fill it back in. And when I mean fill it back in, I mean you got to find new people to hang around. You got to go to new places. You got to find new things that engage you. People, places, and things. That's something that I did a lot with with the heroin addicts. What type of people we gonna hang around? What type of places you're not gonna go in, and what type of places you're gonna go into now? What types of things you're gonna do to keep your mind away from going back into that past vibrational set point to create a new vibrational set point. So negative emotions is a lot like going through withdrawal process. It's a lot like any other addiction, gambling, sex addiction, love addictions. We become codependent on relationships and rely on other people to make us happy and to create that fulfillment, and we get overwhelmed with controlling and become dependent upon that other person. You can hear the cricket in the background, right? You become dependent on that person. So, how are you going to physically withdraw from whatever negative emotion, whatever negative belief? I did a whole thing on negative beliefs yesterday. How are you going to really create a new vibrational set point so that you can release whatever negative emotions you may be holding on to that are holding you back? And just be mindful that it is a lot like a withdrawal process. And going through withdrawals and going through recovery takes a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment and a lot of trial and error too. So being patient and being compassionate and for yourself and moving forward in that. So I'm going to read the quote one last time, and then I'm going to let y'all go. So here it is. When you feel anger or fear or frustration or blame or guilt or any of those emotions that you would describe as negative emotions, what that means is every single time is that you are giving your attention to something and therefore including its lower vibration in your vibrational mix. You're giving it your attention. You're choosing to give it your attention, causing yourself to now be vibrationally different from your own source, from your own existence, from your true set vibrational point, right? And so that negative emotion that you are feeling is a sort of withdrawal. Huge. Thank you, Esther Hicks, for that quote, because it really puts things into perspective. And just be patient with yourselves and know that it's going to take work to create a new vibrational set point for yourself. I love you. If you have questions about this, if you're struggling with this in any way, please reach out. Let us know. What are you struggling to release? What negative emotions or negative habits are you holding on to that you really want to create a new vibrational set point for? All right. Love you. Have a good evening.
I'm alive, 6, 7, 8, feeling great. Now I'm gonna shine, life is good. I'm doing fine, and gonna do it right and do it again, yeah. I look into the sky with all the beautiful color, but there's more than just for me, so gonna share it with another. I got to show, to give, let out. I want to sing and shout, take a look and see a beautiful morning that turns into a beautiful evening, and together make a beautiful life. And if you wanna see, then come along with me, that's right. And if you want a good tomorrow, it's pretty simple, gotta find a way to follow. And if you do, you have
helped me face the issues that were tearing my relationship apart. They provided a safe environment to work through those difficult issues associated with our children, work, finances, trust, and intimacy. I feel I achieved a closeness and a renewed commitment to my relationship. I highly encourage couples to face their challenges and give the Myers a call.
We want to thank the Myers for all of their support. We were on the brink of a divorce.
We just could not communicate. We would have the same argument over and over again.
But after a great deal of reflection, we actually enjoy being around each other again. You taught us skills that have helped us manage conflict.
Yeah, we had a great spiritual conversation with a couple that had vested interest in helping us find our peace.
As a startup entrepreneur, I have been able to leverage the Myers coaching. First of all, they are a sounding board for my personal anxieties as I develop and fine-tune my leadership. I would get so irritated. I now have a plan to manage my anger and a support system that holds me accountable. They are non-judgmental people with tremendous skill and talent, an asset for anyone trying to develop professionally.